Hey everybody, welcome to Study Guide 6. We're going to be talking about MIDI Draw, and it really has a new name now. It's more or less just called region automation as opposed to track automation. So you can interchange those words. It's had a couple different names over the years. I think it used to be called Hyperdraw, and now it's, then it became MIDI Draw. Now it's called region automation. Anyway, starting off with, let's just record a little something here to work on. Okay, and we have something also, a couple other things to check on. The MIDI out button is this green button right here, which is almost always on, and that allows us to, when we edit a note, we hear the note. See, when I turned it off there for a second, then you don't hear the note. And you may have occasion that you need to turn that off or want to for some reason. But right now, it's usually always on. This button right beside it is called MIDI in, and it has a couple of different functions, like step record, which we've already explored a little bit. It has another little function. If I double click on it, then I can click a note and then play a different note or velocity on the keyboard, and it changes it. Okay. To quantize individual notes, you can do that. There's a tool called Quantize tool. And in order to set the grid, you can do that in this inspector area of the piano roll over here. Little mini inspector right here, so you can set your grid to a 16th note, 32nd note, etc., and that will affect the use of the Quantize tool, which we were just talking about. Okay, if we want to change continuous data in the piano roll, we can click on this button here. It's called basically MIDI Draw. And if we hover over these, so you can get them to say their names. All right, it just says show or hide automation. And so again, the new name for it is just region automation. And so you can toggle track automation and region automation down here in the piano roll. You may say, why would you need both region automation and track automation? It's a very good question, actually. I rarely ever use this region automation, but one example you might imagine is if you were doing a loop that recurs over and over and over again, and then you could draw some say volume automation or panning automation in that loop, and then each time that it's repeated, it would repeat that automation. So that's one possible reason. Most cases, personally, I really prefer the track automation, but we're going to delve into how to do it anyway. In order to insert a node, of course, it's set on pan right now. Let's just change it to volume, and just insert nodes the same way you do in track automation, just by clicking on the line. And so I can make a couple of nodes and have the volume dip down, make it go up. Let's see what that sounds like. Make a little cycle region here. Let's make it a little more dramatic. Also, you notice this first note here didn't quite get in. I have to move it over a little bit. There we go. In order to make it more dramatic, let's see, if you want to draw automation, you can use either the pointer tool, as we were just doing, or you can use the pencil tool. I have that set up as my command click tool. Also, if you want to select automation, you can just drag around it like this. And then I can also like copy that by just holding down the Option key and dragging it over. And it just keeps on reiterating it. I'm going to undo that for now because I don't need any more automation there where there's no notes. Again, we could also use the pencil tool. I'm just going to hold down the Command key, and then I can, draw it even more precise in a way. I'm going to undo that for a second and show you another way. If you want a curved line, you can just hold down Control Shift with the pointer, and see it'll curve that line, making it just a different algorithm to the way that it responds to the automation. Okay, in the event list up here, you can look at all the various events that have happened and all the notes, controllers, etc. And I drew in some region automation called Modulation right now to demonstrate the event list. If you hear that modulation effect, like when you press the mod wheel on the keyboard, so everything is reflected up here in the event list. So if I hide the notes, now all I see is all these modulation control that I have put in there. And then again, I can show the notes again. I could hide the controller information, and then you just see the notes. So all of that is up there. If you want to zoom in on a region, I'm going to hide this and hide the piano roll for a second. If I want to zoom in on this selected region, you can just hit Z. And of course, if you have everything deselected, it will zoom out so you can see your entire project. Right now, our project is only one region, so that is the entire project. But I could change the zoom level by using the Command and arrow keys. Now, you can save different zoom levels. Let's say we want to save this as a zoom level by hitting Command, Option, Control, Shift, 1. And then let's zoom in again using the Command key to a smaller level. And let's make this be Command, Option, Control, Shift, 2. So zoom level 2. Then if we want to go back to 1, just press Command, Option, Control, 1. And you want to go back to 2, just hit the 2. And it's not as complicated as it sounds because the Command, Option, Control keys are really right next to each other, right there on the keyboard. If you want the piece to start from the beginning, it's very simple. Just hit the Return key. And that's a very simple thing, but it comes in very handy. Not all programs do that. Most DAWs do that. Finale is an exception. I don't know why they haven't got on that boat yet, but it's nice to be able to just hit the Return key and go back to the beginning. If you want to create a marker, all right, and I'm going to use a command from the last tutorial, pick up clock, to move this to the beginning. And I'm going to use another command that we used in the film tutorial, Option apostrophe to create a marker, Shift apostrophe to name it. I'm just going to call this intro. And of course, then we could go ahead by a few measures and then say Option apostrophe, Shift apostrophe. We could call this the verse, for instance. All right. That's just how to create markers and name them. Okay, and when we bounce a project, just as a reminder, Command B. And before you do that, of course, there's a few other little things that we talked about before, but definitely you want to notice the end of the project. This one ends at bar 7, so it's the Command B, and we would surely want to change the ending to maybe bar 8. Usually give it one more bar. That way it doesn't bounce a whole bunch of silence at the end. Usually nobody wants that. And one final shortcut for this tutorial is if you want to shut down your computer, we're just going to hit Control, Eject. And the nice thing is it gives you all these options. You can restart, sleep, cancel, or shut down. And you notice the shutdown key is in the dark blue. That means you can hit the return key and it will activate the shutdown. I don't want to do that right now because I'm in the middle of this project. Now this one is in light blue for restart, so I could activate that one by hitting the space bar. I'm also tabbing through these. Now there is a setting that you have to set up in the Apple menu. So in order to give you the most options in these dialog windows, I like to go to the Apple menu, choose System Preferences, Keyboard, Shortcuts, and then make sure that this box is checked. Full keyboard access in Windows and Dialogs, press Tab to move keyboard focus between text boxes and lists only or all controls. And that will do it. I'll see you in the next study guide.